Donald Trump and the Trump White House are spiraling on Friday morning as their authoritarian mirage continues to be pierced and challenged by pro-democracy forces, by federal judges standing up to them, by Democratic lawmakers standing up to them, by the people standing up to them. This is from the White House official account this morning. They said, "Fixed it for you at New York Times. Oh, and by the way, at Senator Chris Van Hollen, he's not coming back." And what the official Trump White House account posted was the New York Times cover that has the headline, "Senator meets with wrongly deported Maryland man in El Salvador." And the Trump White House crossed out the words wrongly and Maryland man, replaced Maryland man with MS-13 illegal alien. And then where the word wrongly was crossed out, right below it, it said, "who's never coming back," clearly giving the middle finger to a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling against the authoritarian Trump regime, saying, "Facilitate Abrego Garcia's return back to the United States and provide due process." The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals order saying, "The Supreme Court ruled against you, Donald. Follow their order. And if you don't follow it, pure lawlessness will end up reigning, and it will be your undoing, Donald." And also giving the middle finger to federal courts throughout the country who have issued injunctions against him, saying, "Donald, this is the United States. People are entitled to due process if you make accusations against them." And the Trump War Room, the official Trump account, has been posting photos like this, AI images of Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen. And these images show him as an MS-13 gang member with MS-13 tattoos on a bald head. This is what the Trump regime thinks is funny and humorous, but what they are just doing is telling on themselves what petulant, pathetic, vile pieces of trash they actually are. And there's a reason why the rest of the world has zero respect for them, and that everybody other than the MAGA mush brain morons here in the United States also view Donald Trump as being one of the most, if not the single most pathetic, vile force in existence today, and almost perhaps ever. Donald Trump posting this as well. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland looked like a fool yesterday standing in El Salvador, begging for attention from the fake news media or anyone. Grandstander, Donald Trump puts in all caps. It's always projection and confession with Donald Trump. Notably, what Donald Trump seems to be most humiliated about here is that for a day, Senator Van Hollen got more attention than him. And it was not because Senator Van Hollen was seeking attention. He was seeking to support the premise that the United States of America is a rule of law with due process, and that we don't have kings or authoritarians in our constitutional framework, although Donald Trump now reigns like one, where you just get to say, you're a gang member, and we get to throw you in whatever prison we want to throw you in international lands, and you get to go to concentration or extermination camps and never get to have a process at all. That's not the America that is in the Constitution. And I just want to reflect on this. As you look at all these posts by the White House, they did another one where they're using Rachel Morin's mom as a prop in everything. Of course, Rachel was murdered by an illegal migrant. So because Rachel was murdered by an illegal migrant, they now have Rachel Morin's mom everywhere and try to connect that with other migrants who are just in the United States generally, that all migrants are murderers and killers. It should be noted that Americans engage in crimes and violent crimes at a significantly higher rate than migrants, but the same tactics that were used by the Nazis, that have been used by authoritarians of the past, are being used by the Trump regime. They have that the authoritarian mindset. Okay, so just contrast what the Trump White House posts. I think it's worth our time. Just look at some of the posts from former President Biden's White House account so you can just see the difference. Former President Biden's White House account would post things like this. America's military is the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. The Biden-Harris administration honors all of our military who step up and serve our nation, and their families who also make the sacrifice. Here's another version. Here's another post from former President Biden's White House account. The United States is leading the world on climate action. How it started, how it's going, and it shows the efforts that the former Biden White House was taking to help climate change. Here's another post from former President Biden's White House. New, our administration has finalized a rule to curb excessive overdraft fees charged by banks. This will save the typical family that pays these fees $225 a year, keeping more money in Americans' pockets. I mean, we all remember with former President Biden when GDP was at record highs, when there was 16.2 million jobs created, when unemployment was at record lows, when there were 40,000 infrastructure projects being built, and things were steady and stable such that he'd even make announcements. We've lowered new prescription drug prices. New drugs are on the list for the negotiations to lower the drug prices. I'm lowering the price of insulin. I'm canceling student loan debt. We are making sure there's no overdraft fees. Now with the Trump regime and Elon Musk, it's the opposite. It's a wrecking ball to social services, a hostile takeover of our federal government, and a kakistocracy, replacing smart, talented, able people with a bunch of idiots. Case in point, here's another exhibit. This guy, Royce Chamberlain, who I think is like a Nepo hire. I think his daddy's somewhere in the MAGA Republican party. So here's what he posted. He's now working at the Department of Defense. It's guys like this who work at the DOD now. I'm excited and honored to announce that I've been appointed to the office of the Secretary of Defense at the DOD, helping ensure our country is viewed as a force not to be reckoned with. He means to be reckoned with. Helping to ensure our country is viewed as a force not to be reckoned with. Only the best and brightest, huh? Now, people like that, though, are running the Department of Defense, are running the running the State Department. And here's some of the breaking news as well. So the U.S. is trying to force a last and final offer unilaterally on Ukraine that says the following. The U.S. has proposed a plan to its allies aimed at ending Russia's war against Ukraine, reportedly including provisions to ease sanctions on Moscow and allow Russian-occupied territories to remain under Putin's control. As Jay in Kyiv goes, and there it is. This is Putin's plan exactly. So what? It took slightly under 100 days for Donald Trump just to reveal his pure intentions. And as Jay in Kyiv says, Putin pauses conflict, legalizing when Russia occupies, sanctions come off, Russia rebuilds military, and launches full-scale war into the rest of Europe. Now, Marco Rubio was asked about the plan, and Marco Rubio acknowledges, you know what, we're doing our best. We're probably not going to be able to end this war, but we're doing our best, so whatever, it may not be possible. Here, play this clip.
So we came here yesterday to sort of begin to talk about more specific outlines of what it might take to end the war, to try to figure out very soon, and I'm talking about a matter of days, not a matter of weeks, whether or not this is a war that can be ended. If it can, we're prepared to do whatever we can to facilitate that and make sure that it happens, that it ends in a durable and just way. If it's not possible, if we're so far apart that this is not going to happen, then I think the president's probably at a point where he's going to say, well, we're done. You know, we'll do what we can on the margins. We'll be ready to help whenever you're ready to have peace. But we're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about in a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities to focus on as well.
But Rubio, didn't Donald Trump say that he was going to make peace in Ukraine in 24 hours, that this would be easy? Here, play this clip.
End the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes, I
How would you do that?
I know Zelensky very well.
I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours. It won't even take that long. I will get the...
Here's Marco Rubio again saying, no one's saying it's going to be done in 12 hours. You actually said it was going to be done before Trump took office. Play this clip.
And it's a broad framework. It's a framework that gets us into a position to see, look, there are going to be differences. There's no one saying it's going to be done in 12 hours, but we want to see how far apart it is and whether those differences can even be narrowed, if it's even possible to get movement within the period of time we have in mind. And so we've talked about outlines with both sides. I thought we had positive meetings yesterday. Obviously, the Ukrainians have to go back home. They have to run it by their president. They have to take into account, their views on all of this, and we hope to hear back from them very soon. But we need to figure out here now, within a matter of days, whether this is doable in the short term. Because if it's not, then I think we're just going to move on from our perspective. The president feels very strongly about that. He has dedicated a lot of time and energy to this, and there are a lot of things going on in the world right now that we need to be focused on. So this is important, but there are a lot of other really important things going on that deserve just as much, if not more, attention. So we want to do everything we can to be helpful.
Well, all of this is going on too. Donald Trump has appointed the Fox News host Mark Levin and others to lead Homeland Security Advisory Council. Mark Levin, who talks like this, who goes, Donald Trump. He's now going to be on the Homeland Security Advisory Council. I mean, this stuff is so utterly pathetic, and the ramifications are being felt right now as the world outmaneuvers the United States and Donald Trump's failed trade war, as America's economy is suffering, as our stock markets are down significantly, as our 401ks and pensions are being destroyed. Here's a story from this morning, but there are countless others like this. This is from the Penn Capital Star. Mack Trucks announces layoffs at Lehigh Valley plant, blames tariffs. Mack Trucks will lay off between 250 and 350 workers at its Lehigh Valley operations center outside Allentown over the next 3 months due to economic uncertainty caused by U.S. tariffs, the company said. Allentown, a big area that was supportive of Trump. Pennsylvania went in favor of Trump. This is the beginning. There's going to be a lot more layoffs to come in Pennsylvania and throughout the country and other states that ended up voting for Trump. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.